Listen to me carefully. The greatest transformation in your life will never happen when you are surrounded by a crowd. It will happen in the moments when the room is empty, when no one calls your name, when the world has turned its back on you. That is where the fire begins. Fire begins. Many of you fear being alone because you think it means being abandoned. You think it means weakness. But I tell you today, solitude is not your enemy. It is your training ground. It is the place where your spirit sharpens like a sword, where your mind becomes unshakable, where you break the chains of dependency on people who were never meant to carry you. There is a power in silence that the loud will never understand. The power to hear your own heartbeat, to face your own demons, to know yourself without the mask the world forced on you. Those who run from being alone are running from their own reflection. But those who embrace it, they rise with a strength the crowd cannot give and the world cannot take away. Tonight, I am not here to make you feel comfortable. I am here to challenge everything you believe about loneliness. I am here to show you that the most dangerous, most powerful, most unshakable version of yourself will only be born in solitude. So listen to me, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Because when I'm done speaking, you will never look at being alone the same way again. When you are surrounded by noise, you can barely hear yourself think. The voices of others become chains around your mind, pulling you in every direction except forward. You listen to opinions that do not build you, advice that does not align with your destiny, and criticism that was never meant to help you grow. But when you step into silence, true silence, you strip all that away. You enter the forge where real strength is born. In solitude, there is no one to tell you who you are supposed to be. There is no one to clap for you or condemn you. You are left with only yourself. And that is when the work begins. Many fear that stillness because it forces them to confront the reality of who they are. Without the crowd, without the distractions, without the noise, you come face to face with your weaknesses. But this is not a curse. This is the greatest gift you can receive. The forge of silence reveals the cracks in your armor, so you can strengthen them. It exposes the doubts that have been hiding beneath your confidence, so you can crush them. And it gives you space to rebuild without the weight of someone else's expectations, pressing on your back. Ooh. The strongest warriors are not made in the chaos of the battlefield. They are made in the quiet moments of training, long before the war begins. That is why silence is powerful. It is the secret place where you prepare yourself for the storms that are yet to come. When you are alone, you can hear the thoughts you have been avoiding. You can see the patterns that have been holding you back. You can make decisions without being manipulated by someone else's fear. This is where discipline is born, where focus sharpens like a blade, where your mind becomes so strong that no external voice can shake it. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of clarity. In the world we live in, people chase constant stimulation. They fear the quiet because it forces them to think. But the ones who embrace it, the ones who can sit in stillness without losing their mind, they unlock a level of control over themselves that others will never touch. In silence, you begin to understand your own heartbeat, the rhythm of your own mind, the flow of your own purpose. You stop running from yourself and start running toward the version of you that you were always meant to become. It is in solitude that your ideas come alive. Think of the greatest visions, the most powerful movements, the most unshakable revolutions. They were not born in crowded rooms. They were conceived in moments when someone dared to think alone, to dream without approval, to plan without permission. And when the time was right, they stepped out of that solitude, like a lion leaving its den, ready, focused, unbreakable. But here is the truth. Silence will not feel comfortable at first. It will feel like emptiness, like something is missing. That is because you have been taught to believe your worth is measured by how many people surround you. But when you stay in the quiet long enough, you begin to see that being alone is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is the fullness of your own thoughts, your own will, your own strength. You stop depending on others to fill your cup because you realize you have been the source all along. Silence is the forge of strength because it forces you to master yourself. And when you master yourself, you cannot be mastered by anyone else. That is why those who are comfortable in solitude are dangerous to those who rely on control. They cannot be manipulated by the crowd because they have learned to think for themselves. They cannot be broken by rejection because they have learned to stand without support. may you stand without support. And they cannot be weakened by criticism because they have already faced harsher words in their own minds and overcome them. When you truly embrace the forge of silence, you walk differently. You speak with weight, because your words are not echoes of others. They are born from your own convictions. You act with precision because your decisions are not reactions to noise. They are guided by clarity. You move with certainty because you have already battled your doubts in private and emerged victorious. So understand this. If you want strength that cannot be taken from you, you must step into the silence. You must learn to be alone without feeling lonely. You must train your mind in the absence of applause and your heart in the absence of comfort. And when the world comes looking for you, they will not find the same person who walked into that solitude. They will find someone unshakable, someone sharpened, someone forged in the fire of silence. Because those who master the quiet master themselves. And those who master themselves master the world. When you step away from the crowd, something begins to happen. Something most people are too afraid to face. The moment you choose isolation, masks begin to fall. Those you thought would always stand beside you begin to fade away. The people who once called you a brother, sister, a friend start to grow distant. And it is in that moment, in that cold stripping away, that you begin to see the truth. You begin to understand who was walking with you because of who you are, and who was walking with you because of what you could give them. Crowds are deceptive. They give you a false sense of importance, a false sense of belonging. You feel supported, but in reality, you are surrounded by hands that clap for you only when you are feeding their expectations. The day you stop giving them what they want is the day those hands stop clapping. And it is only in solitude, when you are no longer providing benefits, that you see who truly cares for you and who is only there for themselves. This is why being alone is such a powerful filter. It separates loyalty from convenience, love from advantage, and truth from manipulation. Most people never find out the truth because they never dare to stand alone. They cling to their social circles, to their communities, to their groups, thinking that the more people they have around them, the stronger they are. But what they don't see is that many of those people are simply standing in the light of their fire, taking warmth without ever bringing wood. When the fire burns low, those same people will vanish into the night. Solitude takes away the light of performance, and in that darkness, you see who remains. And here is the reality: you will lose people you thought you could never live without. You are left to think without interference. You are forced to make decisions that reflect your convictions, not the expectations of others. This is where a leader's backbone is formed, when they learn to trust their own judgment without needing constant reassurance. Isolation forces you to become resourceful. There is no one to carry the weight for you, no one to make the hard calls in your place. Every challenge that comes your way in those moments must be faced head-on. And each one you conquer builds a kind of resilience that cannot be faked. You stop being afraid of responsibility because you've carried it alone before. You stop being intimidated by pressure because you've already made critical decisions without a safety net. This is how solitude trains you for leadership. It pushes you to act without waiting for someone to tell you what to do. The truth is, most people are followers because they have never been alone long enough to hear their own voice clearly. They drown it in the noise of others. But those who spend time in solitude become attuned to it. They learn the sound of their own instincts, and when the time comes to lead, they do not hesitate. They've already practiced leading themselves, and if you cannot lead yourself in private, you will never lead others in public. Being alone also teaches you patience, an essential quality of leadership. In a crowd, impatience grows quickly. Everyone wants instant results, quick solutions, immediate rewards. But in solitude, you learn to move with purpose instead of haste. You understand that not every decision needs to be made today, and that some things must be allowed to grow in their own time. Leaders who come out of solitude have the discipline to wait for the right moment, instead of rushing just to appease the restless. In those quiet seasons, you also learn to take ownership of your actions. When things go wrong and you are alone, there is no one to blame but yourself. That reality sharpens you. It teaches you to be accountable, to measure your steps carefully, to think before you move. Leaders who avoid solitude often avoid accountability too, because they can always hide behind the crowd. But leaders who have been trained in isolation know that everything rises or falls on their decisions, and they carry that weight with strength. Another gift of solitude is vision. Crowds are short-sighted. They see what is in front of them and demand action based on the present moment. But in isolation, your vision stretches further because you are not distracted by immediate noise. You can plan for the future without being pulled in 10 different directions. You can build strategies with precision. You can see the bigger picture while others are still reacting to the latest problem. That foresight is what separates great leaders from the rest. They see beyond today, and solitude is where they gain that perspective. Understand this. The world will try to convince you that leadership is about standing in front of people. But before you can stand in front of them, you must first stand alone. Before you can lead them, you must lead yourself. Before you can give them direction, you must know your own path. And that clarity is only found when you step away from the noise and train in the quiet. When your time in solitude is over and you step into the public eye, you will carry a strength that others cannot explain. You will speak with authority because your words are not borrowed. They were forged in the silence. You will act with certainty because your decisions have already been tested in private. You will not tremble when opposed, because you have faced greater resistance within yourself and overcome it. This is why solitude is the training ground for leadership. It is where you learn discipline without reward, courage without recognition, and vision without validation. It is where you become unshakable, not because you have never been tested, but because you have been tested in the hardest place, when no one else was there to lift you up. Those who can lead themselves alone will always be ready to lead others when the time comes. Being alone is not a sentence to weakness. It is an invitation to transformation. Too many people mistake solitude for loneliness, as if being without others automatically means you are empty. But the truth is, solitude is a furnace. It is where pain is melted down and reshaped into power. Reshaped into power. It is where wounds are not just healed, but hardened into armor. It is where every loss you have ever suffered can be turned into fuel for something greater. When life strikes you, the first thing you often feel is the urge to run to others for comfort. You want someone to fill the silence, to drown out the thoughts that come rushing in when you are left with yourself. But there are moments when no one will be there to answer the call, when no one will step into your darkness with you. And it is in those moments, when you feel abandoned, forgotten, and invisible, that you discover the choice you truly have. To break or to build. The world teaches you to see pain as an enemy, something to be avoided at all costs. But pain is a teacher. Pain is honest. It doesn't lie to you. It shows you where you are weak, it exposes where your limits truly are, and it challenges you to push past them. In solitude, pain has room to speak. There are no distractions to silence it, no crowd to drown it out. You face it head on. And in that confrontation, something remarkable happens. You begin to realize that what you thought would destroy you is actually shaping you. Every great warrior, every true leader, every unstoppable force you have ever admired has walked through seasons where they were alone with their suffering. And instead of allowing that suffering to bury them, they learned how to use it. They turned betrayal into focus. They turned rejection into determination. They turned grief into wisdom. And they did it without an audience, without applause, without anyone to cheer them on. Because transformation is not a performance, it is a private war. The beauty of solitude is that it removes the option of pretending. You can put on a mask in public. You can act like you are fine when you are surrounded by people. But when you are alone, the mask comes off. You are forced to face your reality. You are forced to feel every bruise, to remember every failure, to acknowledge every scar. And that's exactly where the rebuilding begins. Because you cannot fix what you are too busy hiding. Solitude strips you down, not to destroy you, but to give you the chance to rise again without the dead weight you have been carrying. There is a kind of power that only comes from surviving yourself. From walking through nights when you thought the sun would never rise. From enduring moments when the weight on your chest felt unbearable. From fighting battles that no one else even knew you were fighting. That power cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is forged in the quiet, in the tears no one saw, in the decisions you made when no one was there to guide you. That kind of power stays with you forever. When you embrace solitude in your pain, you stop seeing yourself as a victim. You stop asking, "I me?" and start asking, "What now?" You stop looking at what you lost and start focusing on what you can build from it. That shift in perspective is the key to turning pain into strength. Because the truth is, the world will not stop hitting you. Storms will come, losses will happen, people will betray you. But if you have learned how to transform pain into power and solitude, then no storm can uproot you. No betrayal can break you. No loss can end you. You begin to realize that the people who tried to bury you were actually planting you. And in the silence, in the darkness of being alone, you take root. You grow deeper, stronger, more unshakable. And when the time comes, you break through the surface, not as the same person who was hurt, but as someone entirely new. Someone who has taken every wound and made it a weapon. This is why solitude is not something to run from when you are hurting. It is the very place where you can rebuild yourself without interference. It is where you can find clarity in the chaos. It is where you can reimagine your future without the voices of doubt in your ear. And when you come out of that place, the world will see a version of you they can't recognize, because you will no longer be defined by what happened to you. You will be defined by how you rose from it. Pain can either be the weight that drags you down or the fire that lifts you higher. Alone, you get to choose.